The holographic display flickered to life in the Galactic Military Academy's tactical theater, casting blue light across the eager faces of cadets from a dozen species. Commander Zilth, a veteran Korthan instructor with scales that had dulled from centuries of service, activated the simulation with a gesture of his triple-jointed arm. "The Battle of Proxima Ridge," he announced, his translator rendering the clicks and whistles into standard. "Widely considered the turning point of the Vrex incursion. Study it well." The cadets leaned forward as the three-dimensional battlefield materialized before them. 17 species had fought there, outnumbered 3-1 by the insectoid Vrex swarm. The simulation showed the desperate last stand, the collapsing defensive lines, the moment when all seemed lost. Then came the medical corps. The hologram zoomed to a field hospital under heavy fire. Medics worked frantically as explosions shook the ground. One figure stood out, a human in blood-soaked armor, moving between the wounded with impossible speed and determination. The human medics, Zilth continued, defied all tactical logic. When ordered to evacuate, they refused. When the Vrex breached the perimeter, they stayed. 73% of survivors owed their lives to 81%, actually. Every head turned toward the back row. Cadet Sarah Chen sat quietly, her expression unreadable. The young human had been the Academy's most reserved student, never volunteering information, always keeping to herself. Ziltha's scales rippled with confusion. "Cadet Chen?" Sarah stood slowly, her eyes fixed on the frozen hologram. The official records say 73% because they only counted the soldiers who made it to evac ships. They didn't count the ones we stabilized and left with partisan forces. Or the ones we hid in collapsed bunkers with enough supplies to last until reinforcements arrived 3 days later. The classroom fell silent. "You're saying you were there?" a Quellan cadet whispered, his chitinous plates clicking nervously. Sarah walked toward the hologram, her footsteps echoing. She pointed at the figure in bloody armor. "That's Corporal Martinez. He lost both legs pulling a Korthan officer from a burning APC. Refused morphine because he said someone else needed it more." Her finger moved. "That's Doc Williams. Took shrapnel to the spine shielding 2 Threen hatchlings. Paralyzed, but she kept working for 6 more hours." She stopped at the central figure, the medic moving with desperate purpose through chaos. "And that's me. 23 years old. First real combat. Terrified out of my mind." Commander Zilth approached slowly. "The records say the human medic there died. Killed by a Vrex warrior while defending wounded. Clinically dead for 4 minutes, Sarah corrected, her voice flat. "My combat AI hit me with enough stimulants to restart my heart. Woke up in a pool of my own blood with a Threen engineer doing compressions on my chest." She turned to face the class. "Humans don't have the strongest bodies or the fastest reflexes. But we have something evolution gave us, we're too stubborn to know when to quit." A Valerian cadet raised a tentacle hesitantly. "Why did you never mention this?" Sarah looked back at the hologram, at the younger version of herself fighting death itself. "Because every species lost heroes at Proxima Ridge. My survival doesn't make me special. It makes me lucky." But as she returned to her seat, every cadet in that room understood something fundamental about humanity. They didn't fight because they were fearless. They fought because they were terrified, and they did it anyway. Commander Zilth resumed the simulation, but no one was really watching anymore. They were too busy looking at the quiet human in the back row, seeing her for the first time.